Alright guys, how's it going? I got Oathsworn, the second edition here. Now this is going to be kind of an interesting unboxing. It should actually be pretty quick as well. If you want to see everything Oathsworn has to offer, you can see my original unboxing where I do unbox it all in there. But in this one, I'm really focused on what's new. So we have the new mystery item, of course. We have a few new things in here. And I have the old rule books handy, so we can take a look at some of that, see how that looks in the new one. So let's dive in and see what it's all about. Alright, so I was just going to open this off camera, but I've been really impressed with this cardboard box that they've shipped it in. I want to make sure I kind of point that out. So obviously there's two whole layers here, and as you can see, it can get dented in, right, like right there, and you saw this right here. But all that did on the other side, so you can see the little mark here, right? That dent just led to a tiny bit of a crack right here. And that's it, from the looks of it. Also, when I'm opening this up, like, it's like, you hear that? You have to, like, you're, like, breaking this, like, fold here. And, like, it doesn't even want to go any farther. You have to, like, really force it. Very impressive. And then, oh, man, hopefully you can hear all that. And then they even have, like, stuff like this. I mean, nothing in here is moving around. That's actually pretty darn impressive. So this looks pretty good. This box, a little bent up, but that box is going to. It's a tuck box. It's garbage anyway. For a box anyway. That's good. Really dig that. Looks like we got more wrapping in. This is like really thick too. They didn't skimp on any of this. Looks like it's like layers of packing paper. Just a ton of it. To the point where you think there's something in there. Very, very nice. And of course we got, looks like we got some of the new dice. So we checking that out. We got some coins. We got the new drawstrings. This is nice that this is in the box. Often this poses a problem when it comes to shipping, just because it's round, right, and often separate. But this is small enough where it can fit right there in the box. So that's good. So far, this is mostly the same kind of stuff. Here's the secret box. This is the original. Then we have the armory. Very cool. More of this. This is nice. So they put this right over the book to help protect the book from scuff marks. So that's nice. That looks pretty much mint condition. There's a tiny bit of movement here. And a tiny bit right there. But that's about it. That turned out really nice. Very happy to see that. And then we just got boxes inside of boxes. One of the best ways to spend money while shipping, but also to make sure your product arrives perfectly, is box inside of a box. It never fails. That's how they ship a lot of computers. Like if you have like a pre-built computer, they'll put like the foam stuff inside, but often what you'll get is you're gonna get the box inside of a box like this. More often than not, it works really, really well. So this is the terrain box in there. Don't really have to worry about that too much. Same as before. And then you have, this is just, oh, it's so heavy. It's so heavy. The base game box there. Oh. All right. Go and take a look at everything else. All right, Mystery Chest 1 and 2. Let me remind you how that arrives. Take a look at that. Again, very impressed with the cardboard quality. And it is literally, boom, just like that. So, just the raw box there, but it looks like it ended up pretty good. A little bit of a bend here, but that's about it. This is wrapped so tightly that this is like suctioned in the middle, so it actually kind of caves in slightly. Kind of interesting. Anyway, that's that there. Again, you've seen that. If you want to see that in more detail, there's that other video. And then we have this, the mystery box. This is what took so long for me to get in. I was pretty late on this one when it comes to delivery. So, secret box. All right, now if you don't mind, we're gonna start with the secret box. There are timestamps down below. If you do not want to see this, then by all means skip it, and that's totally okay. don't have to watch everything, every part of it. You can just see some of it just fine. But very interested in the secret box. The first one was awesome, so glad to see what this one is. Ah, very cool, very cool. Great character on this one. These are so much fun. Locking lid, that's actually quite nice. Look at that. Very nice detail. Let's zoom in a little bit. There you go. So as you can see, really impressed at the sword. This is really, like, look at that. That is straight. I really appreciate that. That is not bendy at all. Facial expression looks fantastic. That looks really good. The shield obviously looks great too. I might dry brush a little bit more shiny armor on like the chains and stuff. Those look a little dark to me. But I mean, it's Oathsworn, it's supposed to be pretty dark anyway, right? They do have a wash on the cape, which definitely helps with that. Same with the base here, all that looks great. Almost, yeah, this is a really interesting green that they used. It's a kind of a, it's pretty close to the brown actually, so it melds in, I think, really good. And then this dark spots really help too. Very cool mini. So if we compare it to the Ursa Warbear, you can see size difference. Of course, it makes sense. It fits. Oh, look at that. It's like a puzzle piece. I think they really improved the basing of it. So if you see this one, which I actually really like as well, it's very cool, obviously. The texture of it a little bit more smooth, whereas here it's a lot rougher of a texture, which I really appreciate on that. I think that looks really good. The leather they did on this one, though, I mean, obviously really great, and I love the hint of color in the fur. This, though, again, really cool and just a great pose. So one thing I noticed is there's a little bit of, like, where the wash didn't quite get here from the operation. Same with right here. I think it works okay because it almost looks like a worn part, which would make sense right there, but I did notice that. And his eyes don't have any pupils. Other than that, though, actually quite impressive. Even give him like the little bit of the mustache part of his beard there. Very, very cool. Yeah, I like this a lot. This is awesome. Great, great character. He's got the Oathsworn right there. Great symbol. Love it. Very cool. All right, let's look on to the rest. So I'm excited about these fancy drawstrings bags. So these are to replace the envelopes. That, to be honest, did feel kind of out of place in the first one compared to everything else. So in this one now, you get to hold everything in this lovely looking drawstring bag here. This, like the look of it, looks like it's like it would fit a Lord of the Rings game, right? It just looks really good. Very thin material, in a good way. Like, it feels very nice. It feels kind of almost like silky a little bit in that sense. The drawstring actual portion of it, actually pretty good as well. It's smooth to the touch, and those are not always the case there. So it's very nice looking. Looks like it gets closed quite well as well. And of course opens up. Size-wise, it's enough, right? It's not like you're like pulling tokens out of here, you know, like some kind of draw thing. So it's okay if it's a little bit smaller. I tend to like ones where I can stick my whole hand in there, but that would be overkill. This doesn't need to be that big. You would just get your cards out and pull it out and you'd be good to go. Very cool to see this. They look, again, just great. Really, really nice. And this will have this one here, and it looks great. This is one of the stand-up ones like that. That crease is a little strong there, which is a little unfortunate. We'll see if that comes out over time. But yeah, there you go. For the most part, it can stay open fairly well. Looks like it cinches okay. Very nice. Love the gray on the inside with the kind of blue, more felty material here. It does feel different than these, right? It's a little bit thicker. Yeah, this is nice. Yeah, as long as that crease comes out, I'm gonna be. I mean, I'm already really happy with it, but I'd be even happier with that crease gone. And I think it will over time. We'll see. Let's become less noticeable. Just make sure not to fold it like that again. All right, so we got, again, there's like a freaking ton of these. Like there's so many, but we got the big mamma jamma here as well. So let's go and do that. So this is a lot better. So this one, it's folded in the middle bottom like that, which is way better than like folding it like that or something. So this is, I much prefer this. Oh yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. We're like when you're taking tokens out, that's what you want, and that's perfect. It's really deep. You can actually stick your whole hand in there, dig around, get the one you want. Love it. That is great. It does look like there's a few kind of marks here that aren't quite going away, but I'll play around with it and see. It's this, like, I don't even know what it is. This like felt kind of material. Sometimes can get marks where it doesn't like flay the correct way, and so you can kind of see it like that. It's nothing major. Looks like it's really just on that side most noticeable anyway. I think it looks great. I love the gold on the red. It looks very nice, and then it kind of matches the inside as well. Very nice. This is great. I really like this. So those are fantastic. Those ended up really good. So again, instead of folding like that, I would have preferred it to fold like that. That's the way you want it to be folded. All right, next we have these dice. Super excited to see these. So let's take a look. Let's take a look. This is an interesting take on white dice. Very interesting. Very interesting. All right, let's zoom in a tiny bit more. For the most part, I'm just going to hold them up. So the white dice here are more of like a gray, clear, like a frosted gray, with like the sparkles in it, which is actually really cool. What I like about this, I don't know if they did it on purpose or not, is the clumps of sparkles you get. So you get like these kind of larger clumps that make it look more like stone, which I think is kind of the idea here. It makes it look really cool. So you have like the regular ones, so you have these big clumps of sparkle that make it look really cool. And it's just enough see-through that you can kind of see into it a fair distance. Like I can see some group in there, and yeah, this is cool. The painting on it's really good as well, obviously. It's also a matte, like it's not, oh yeah, man, look at the clumps on there. Very cool. So yeah, as you can see, those clumps there, love these big clumps of it actually. Not just the little bit that's kind of everywhere. The clumps are nice. I like that. Again, it makes it look a little bit more stone-like. And again, it's not shiny, so it's gonna look good pretty much all the time, even if it gets scuffed as you roll it, like all dice typically do. That's great. All right, let's go and look at some yellow ones. All right, these look nice as well. I will say right now, these are a little bit harder to read. All right, so this is just looking at it down here from the table, but the black just doesn't show up as strongly on this a little bit of a darker dye. These, you'll notice on these, they actually changed from the black to the gold. This is like right there in between. Now the gold, I imagine, would show up even less, right? So I don't think that's quite the answer, but just as an FYI, it's a little bit harder to read than the others. It's still fine, but I also have really good lighting on this. So if you don't have like great lighting on your game table, which I know a lot of you don't, you know, you're in some kind of stuffy game room with boxes everywhere that just the light doesn't bounce off walls or anything like that. I get it. We're all on that same boat here. So filming, I have a lot of light on these, but if I didn't, that would be something. Additionally, unlike these, this is shiny, and in fact I think all the others are shiny. So this is the one that's not shiny. I really like the not shiny. It makes it very unique, but it's also more of a stone versus what looks like more of a gem look to it. That's what this kind of does with this. Again, the glitter here, the clumps of it look fantastic. Very, very nice. I love that. It almost looks like the 3 is like exploding out, which is like kind of cool, to be honest. And when it breaks up like this, it's also very easy to again hide scuff marks, stuff like that. So it looks pretty much perfect. Which is I mean, like there's not really like a whole lot of scuff or anything like that there that I can see, which is great. And again, this one you can see pretty much the whole way through, it seems. Very cool. Yeah, in fact, I can see a little bit of the black on this side, which is pretty darn neat. Very cool. Yeah, these look great. They look really nice. Very, very nice. And you'll notice a little bit of difference here, right? Like there's a whole bunch in here and not nearly as much in this one. That's just invariably going to happen. Makes them all unique. As long as there's not too distracting or anything like that. All right, next up we got the red ones going up in power level here. All right, this is a deep red. I can tell you that much. So this one is starting to show a little bit more of the scuff marks you typically see on these dice when it's a little bit darker. The gold here, I think, looks great. I can see it just fine like this. The gold does, I think, reflect light pretty well here, so that shows up pretty good. I will say there's definitely a little bit of a difference here in color. So you see here, and this isn't a reflection bit, I don't think. I think it's really just an actual color of the red here. Do you see the difference here? They're both on their blank side here. So again, even on this side, you can see it's a lot darker on here than that. And regardless of which side you put it on, that's actually a little bit closer. So maybe there's something to be said about the reflectiveness of it. I think it's really the quantity of it in there more than the clumps or anything like that. There's just a lot more that kind of light red reflection in this than this. This is a little bit more empty. So that's probably the first one I've seen that looks kind of distinctly different. There is a little bit more of a variety here. I noticed, again, a tiny bit on here, but not a whole lot. That one, you know, this one just does seem a little bit darker than all the rest. That being said, again, you're going to see that variety here. And on other facings, where you have that silver, it really does help kind of lighten it up. And I think these look great. I love the silver, or the gold. The gold and red on this, I think, look great. So very, very nice. Very happy with those. And especially individually, they look great. Yeah, this is good. That's really good. Now look at the black ones. These are probably one of the more interesting ones because they're like no longer black, right? So while this is no longer white as well, obviously this is like not super dark. In fact, they don't necessarily look a whole lot different to me than perhaps some of the red. No, they're okay. I mean, they definitely look a lot different when you put together. But as somebody who's slightly colorblind, and again, if I turned off this like big light to film and all that kind of stuff, and I just had them like this, right, I might instinctively go a tiny bit for that one. Unless I see a 5, obviously, there or something like that. That being said, this is perhaps, I think, one of the best looking ones. What I like about it is that it's different than a lot of the other ones you see. Again, these clumps you're getting in here look great. And here you can really see the clumps as opposed to, like, before it almost looked like a whole bunch of glitter together. But this is like there's like pieces of like metal foil are in there, and it looks like a metal ore kind of thing in a really cool way. So I do really like that. When they're this big, it does detract a bit from the gold, so it's not quite as stark contrast as you might think if it's like right next to it like that. Like this has a whole bunch in there. See, this one doesn't, and to me, it's a little bit more stark because there's a lot more black around it. But yeah, no, this looks great. What I like also is that it's a little bit of a multicolored thing, right? It's got this kind of what looks like goldish speckles, but then it has this really obvious silver streaks through it that I really, really like. I think that looks great. Yeah, really digging that a lot. These are fantastic, guys. I know I've spent a lot of time on this. I'm just really impressed with how great these dice look. Probably the happiest I've been when it comes to getting dice. The variety of how they look, the differences there, the uniqueness to them. This has actually been a highlight for me. If you don't like dice, I don't know if we can be friends. You go to like Gen Con and you'll see people spend all kinds of money on dice. I've spent all kinds of money on dice. And so to get really cool looking dice like this, I'm a huge fan. This is fun. That looks just great to me. Super happy about those. All right, but we got more to look at. So let's go ahead and take a look at that rulebook. All right, let's not look at the rulebook yet because getting that out, I noticed this guy stuffed onto the side of the box. This is the dice roller here. Lovely leather here. This feels and looks great. I will say that. There's a few little cinches here, but I wonder how that'll look when it comes to actually flipping it and making it, right? And then you can see that on the back too. There's little bits there, but I think that's fine. Oathsworn symbol obviously looks great, and these buttons, classic leather buttons. I mean, they look great. So it's gonna fold up and over like that. Looks good. Yeah, the in here, it's not super firm, and nor would I want it to be. So that's going to Go like that. And like that. I love the size of this. Often I feel these are too small, and I literally don't use them because of that. So not too deep, but just good enough to where I can get a few misses in. One red. Yeah, all right, there we go. And hey, that's not too bad, huh? Yeah, look at that. Take that, stupid boss. No, that's great. Let's test a whole lot of them. All right. Like a Warhammer shooting right now. There we go. Looks, yeah, this is plenty high. Looks good. Keeps them all nice. And obviously I missed only a few times. That's actually not too bad. I mean, it's a miss, but it's not too bad. Give me my pity token and we'll move on. No, this is good. And then obviously clasps right back down. And nice and easy to store, fairly darn flat. Oh, I forgot to look at those little cinches and see how that looks. Okay, so you can see a little bit of those cinching right here, right? And then right there, and then not on these sides, and then right there and right there. There's a little bit there, not too bad. Again, you can see them kind of right there and there. I don't know what that even is. If you know, let me know, of course. But yeah, it looks great. Looks great. Very nice. All right, cool. Now let's look at that rule book. So this is something great that they did. In the first one, these were not pre-assembled. So I was fine with assembling them, and they were still all push fit, which was nice, but a lot of people weren't, obviously, and they really wanted to. Looks like one of them did come loose, so we'll take a look at that. But this one, they were finally able to actually do that and kind of do it responsibly. And so then all you do, because a lot of the push fit, like a lot, like this is all multi-part, but you didn't have to care about all that, the basing or anything like that. All you have to care about is the weapons, in which case you can just, again, pop off that, pull off that, change it to another one, or, put it right back on. Or if you want to paint and you want to get behind there, often when they're holding stuff up front, that becomes kind of difficult. So, yeah, really good. My understanding is they even improved the push fit on a lot of them to make them a little bit more sturdy. And same thing, take the shield off, take that off, change it. Again, obviously, nice hips plastic, and the design, the style of the minis here lead to really nice crisp details, because they're not like overly detailed. Now, looks like this guy here, his arm did come off a little bit, but I bet we can put that right back on just fine. Yep, just fine. And you can hold him up, totally fine. Looks maybe a little loose there too. Push that in. Yeah, so he just wiggled out. And you can wiggle these out still. A little bit of blue tack works great, or again, you can glue them in if you don't care to. That works. But otherwise, I like it. I think it's great. Yeah, these turned out just fine. Very cool. All right. So anyway, I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on that. I forgot that they had done that, and really happy to see that. Makes it feel like a proper board game. Remember that miniature building junk. A whole bunch of stuff in here. Love that that's wrapped. That's good. All the different trays and stuff. Now, obviously, they here's the old ones here, right? There you go. Look at that. And then yep. Here we are. This is the traditional ones there. So they updated a lot of the cards and stuff like that too. I did not get the upgrade pack. I had just the whole thing. So it is a little bit different in that sense. And I'm not going to go over and look at individual cards. The first one, it reviewed at like a 9.7, and it didn't do that because it sucked, right? I mean, the 1.0, plenty good. It was a great game. You don't feel like you have a lesser version or something, or like it needed some huge fixing or anything like that. Because it's almost a case of like you're fixing what's not even broken, right? I mean, I think they're happy with the updates and the little tiny changes, but it's not like it was bothering a whole lot of people or that it was like ruining the experience or something like that. Okay. All right, so we got your little journal here, journal mysteries, got that. Okay, storybook, and here we are. Got the encounter rule book, and not the encounter book, the story rule book. And then, of course, we also have the storybook for the other ones. But again, I'm not going over all that. So, just looking at these, we have the old ones here. Now, before I mix them up or anything, I want to make sure. get this in view a little bit for you guys. All shiny there. Sorry about that. Yeah. Oh, this is slightly different. So this one now has a frequently asked questions in the back here. If I'm told to gain X iron, do I share that among the free company? Can you switch characters during the campaign? When do you reset the might dex? How do max animus and region boxes on the character sheet work? Can you run multiple campaigns at the same time using the app? Okay, interesting, like that. And you still get the art. It literally just like cut off the art, so you just don't get the top part, which I think is totally fine. And then, of course, we have the index on all of that. And the same thanks to the original backers and stuff like that, which is, I think, cool to see. All right, so looks like the index is about the same as well. And same with the help there. So, all right, that's the story rulebook. Look at the counter rulebook here. And again, I think there's a few minor changes, but for the most part, a lot of it, I think, was just like on the cards themselves and making sure things are worded a little bit clearer on a few that I think people had some problems on. Well, you know what? At the end of the day, that's pretty good. That there wasn't a lot of change needed. And that's kind of what I'm talking about, right? Like, there's not really a huge need here. It's not like there was a huge demand for like, oh my gosh, this is a garbage rulebook or anything like that. So it's more like, well, if we're going to be printing it anyway, and we know there's a typo on page 7, why don't we just like fix that a little bit, right? Which is perfect. But they did a good job on all of this. Hence, again, the high ratings and stuff like that. So it's not too bad. The frequently asked questions on there were pretty cool. I did like that. And again, same thing here. They have some frequently asked questions. And they still kept the art, just a little, they shoved it right in here. So this one has a little space right there where they put the art. I dig that. Is there anything else? Just special thanks and the FAQ or the index. And again, same thing there. So yeah, on here now they have a FAQ here. And one of the nice things about this is they even said, oh, Oathsworn questions, component questions, ability questions, enemy questions, item questions to kind of help, you know, group them up a little bit too. So yeah, very nice to see the FAQ there like that. I wonder if that is on something like BoardGameGeek.com, BGG. Often you can find a lot of errata and stuff like that. All right, now there are two other things I want to look at. First is the little Oathsworn marker. It's quite small. This is understandable to me because it's on the map, and the map isn't exactly that big either. Let's zoom in a little bit. Take a quick look at this. You know, it's stuff like this, by the way, that I think is a really an easy way to kind of do a 2.0 and still make it nice. So have a little bit more than just a reprint, and actually kind of pimp it out now that you can. So I will say this is solid. It's not like hollow or anything, which is actually kind of impressive. And as far as I can tell, it is resin, which is also kind of cool. It's a little solid block of it there. Looks quite nice. I'm not really seeing too much of a seam line. There's a tiny bit of it there. And a tiny bit of, well, actually there's a lot more than a tiny bit of it there. It's actually kind of a big bit of it right there. But besides that, it looks like they actually did a pretty good job on it. The symbol looks good. This has a nice oil wash on it, which is a nice little sun drop kind of thing. But honestly, painting this up I think would look better. Because then you could get that gold Oathsworn look, and the sword will stand out more, and the wrappings on it will look cool, and the skulls and stuff like that. But otherwise, pretty darn cool. Yeah, I like it. I like it. The little candles on top, those look nice. Yeah, and it's a nice little, it's easy. It's almost like a standee, right? Because it's this flat tombstone kind of thing, so you can just kind of move it around, which is not too bad. All right, now there should be 4 metal dice as well. Now, I haven't really dug through here fully to fully find it, so let's take a look. And here they are on the bottom of all that. These are your hit points. Love this. Again, a nice little upgrade here. I think the only thing I would have really liked to see is still dual layer boards. I would have liked to see that still. But these are heavy. These are, you know, unlike the coins, these are dense. You hear that? Yeah, that's no joke. So, take a look at these as well. Obviously they feel really nice. They're rounded here with this like embroidery, which looks really cool. Looks like the 1 is the Oathsworn symbol, which I think is perfect, right? Because obviously if it's a 6, you're doing good. But you start getting that Oathsworn symbol. Once you get down to the 1, you better watch out. So I do like that. It's a nice little warning there. Often, high is good. Therefore, you do the special thing on high. But I think for a health counter down, especially in a game like this, Oathsworn on the 1 makes total sense. Very easy to read the number, I find, because it is just kind of surrounded by a little bit of texture, and in fact it gets a little bit dark around there too, just based off the wash. It kind of naturally has a little bit of a dark glow. If you wanted, you could always pimp this out a little bit, of course, that's always possible, but I don't really think there's a huge need to. It does look like some of them, like this one, got a little bit more of a wash. So you can see here, the wash actually is a little bit shiny even. You know how it's like almost matte looking here, and here it's pooled enough to where it's been a little shiny. It looks like the whole one is like that. Here's a 4 and a 4. Perfect. So you can kind of see the difference here. So this one definitely got more of a wash, or at least didn't get it. Normally, I think what they do is they put a wash and then they rub it off, right? They have like paper towels or something like that. And it looks like they didn't quite do that well here. So see, like right here, you can see it kind of was, but then over on this side, definitely not. So, again, anything done in a factory, you're going to see a little bit like that, especially mass market, like Chinese manufacturing. They're just making so many of these and moving so quick. It's a little hard. And honestly, they still look great. Like, I'm happy with these. And that doesn't break my expectations at all, actually. Totally happens. And you'll always get little differences and variations. These are really fun. I almost wish I could just, like, roll these. They're really cool. So, yeah, cool to see that as well. So, you know what, guys? That is pretty much it. I mean, obviously, they have the train and all that kind of stuff, but I've already unboxed all that for you. So, it was mainly just showing off all of this cool new stuff that I am a huge fan of. This stuff is awesome. All right, so let me know your thoughts on the game. If you ever finish the campaign, what you think about 2.0 printings like this. I'd love to hear your comments down below. Obviously, Jamie over at Shadowborn Games has a new Arthurian game cooked up. I'll link down to that below so you can see the trailer for that, and obviously you can stay tuned to the channel to hear more about that as information becomes available. Guys, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye, guys.